Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out this evening. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Kate McGrath, Executive Director here at Greenbelt Cinema, and we're very pleased to welcome you to this special event. The person on staff who's been most in charge of orchestrating is our Education and Outreach Coordinator, Laura Michael. So I'm going to turn it over to her.
Friendly faces here tonight. Thank you for joining us for this beautiful The City event. We're going to hear from a few people this evening, beginning with Sheila Maffay-Tuthill with the Greenbelt Museum. She's going to start us off, give a little context and history of the film, and then we're going to hear from Derek, who's the orchestra conductor for the newly founded Greenbelt Orchestra. So I'm going to hand it over to Sheila and let her get us started.
All right, good evening, everyone. Good evening. Very happy to be here on behalf of the Greenbelt Museum and love talking about the city, the fabulous, amazing films like this, gorgeous music, which I'm very much looking forward to. So just a few opening remarks about the city, a little bit of historical context and background. Of course, Greenbelt, being a medial community, was part of President Roosevelt's idea about how to make things better for people in the country, especially after the Great Depression. So Greenbelt, this idea, and also many others, but the Greenbelt idea was, let's build a community that will help moderate income families have homes that they can feel happy in and healthy and just almost an idyllic community for moderate income families. While we're doing that, we'll be putting people to work because many people need work coming out of the Great Depression. So they have many, many jobs to build a community. And they wanted to try out some ideas. The Green Towns plan, with having a green belt around the town, lots of trees, green space, recreational facilities, pedestrian footpaths that keep the traffic foot traffic away from the automobile traffic. So all sorts of wonderful ideas coming in to building Greenbelt. So after Greenbelt, the first families were moving in October of 1937, and my grandparents were actually among the very first pioneers. They moved in to 4B Southway back in 37. But so the town was wonderful. The people living in the town were quite pleased with it. But there was a lot of backlash from many quarters, and in the press, it was pretty brutal. So it's been suggested that the making of the city was, that was a bit of a kernel of, we're going to defend this idea because it's getting so much criticism. We're going to show just how wonderful an idea this planned community is. So a lot of geniuses were involved in the creation of the city. It is now attributed to Catherine Bauer, a famous urbanist called herself a Hauser. Most people are probably familiar with her as Catherine Bauer the Hauser. So she was involved with the planning of the World's Fair and the World of Tomorrow, and she wanted to put an exhibit of a small village actually at the World's Fair in New York, the 39 World's Fair. That was not going to be possible, so it said she came up with the idea of a film. Now, things were leading in this direction. The actual government was using photographs and radio to kind of spread the ideas and gain support for some of these ideas. So it was a natural step to go into a film. So they say Catherine Bauer had the idea. But like I say, there were many geniuses at its inception. Louis Mumford was very involved, and also Eric Stein. You probably know that name from his involvement with Radburn and some of the ideas. He was also a major influence on the design of Greenbelt. Who else do we have? Per Lawrence, who was a very noted documentarian. He made The Plow That Broke the Plains, very famous documentary film there. Ralph Steiner and Willard Van Dyke were the directors. And, of course, Aaron Copland wrote the score for this. And this was actually the very first film he wrote a score for. And it's absolutely fabulous. That's why I'm extra excited about tonight, and then also in June when the concert will happen as well. So Aaron Copland, huge genius. Later on, after his work on the city, of course, he was nominated for Academy Awards for some of his scores, and actually won an Academy Award for a score for a film after the city. But the city is where you got to start writing scores for films. So the film was made. They showed it at the 1939 World's Fair in New York to kind of tell this story. This is our idea. We think that we should reimagine how families can live in a healthy way by these planned communities. About 40 million people saw the film. They played it every single day of the 1939 World's Fair, twice a day. And so lots and lots of eyes on it, getting that story. We know the King and Queen of England went to the 1939 World's Fair, King George and Queen Elizabeth. I can't find any documentation that they actually went and saw the city, but they were there, and very much could be a possibility. A couple of people that did see the city and it had a major impact on their lives. We have a Greenbelter that was so well loved and revered for her involvement in the arts her entire life. Barbara Simon, I know a lot of you probably know Barbara Simon, knew Barbara Simon. Her parents were artists and saw the city at the 1939 World's Fair in New York, said, they did a little research, okay, the town that you see there that looks so wonderful, that's Greenbelt, and we can live there. So they moved to Greenbelt based on seeing that at the 1939 World's Fair. I've also heard that the great WPA artist Benjamin Abramowitz was influenced by viewing the city at the World's Fair. And he lived here and was a very prolific painter and lived most of his adult life here. So, but that one I have less confirmation of, but I've heard the story. But definitely Barbara Simon's parents, the McGee's, came as a result of viewing the film. Greenbelters were very involved in the filming. You're going to see, I believe, an interview with someone who was a former docent for the Greenbelt Museum, Bob Summers, who is really kind of the star of the Greenbelt segment of the city. And Greenbelters were fascinated. They actually came en masse to view the film in November of 1939, right here in the theater. It played for 2 nights, I believe. And so it is a fabulous film, and Greenbelt is so deeply involved and entwined in the whole reason for being for this movie. So I'm so happy that we're going to be playing it here, and may the city have many, many runs in the Greenbelt Theater and elsewhere. And thank you so much for having me this evening, and I can't wait to hear the music.
So this is a film that actually inspired our family to move to Greenbelt as well. I wrote my master's thesis on the 39 fair and the 500 films that were shown there. It was very film heavy as an event. And when my husband got a job at the University of Maryland and I saw that Greenbelt was actually a place you could live, not just featured in this film, I said, we have to live here. So, and there's no, you see, the theater does not feature in the film, and so it was a happy surprise that as 2 film historians were moving into a town that has such an amazing cinema in it. There is a version online that is 45 minutes, which is the full runtime that was shown at the fair. Subsequently, though, however, due to, we can talk about this more in the Q&A, some feedback that was given that it was a little bit too lengthy and the way that the actual filmmakers felt versus how the planners felt who commissioned the film. A shortened version, 30 minutes, is what was circulated subsequently and is where the version we have landed at the National Archives just down the road here. So that is the restored version that we have and that we'll be sharing with you tonight. trying to dig more into why exactly this happened. My husband and I, being film historians, did a shot-by-shot analysis of it this past weekend, so if you have questions about that, we can speak a little bit more about what isn't in it. You're not missing anything major, so don't worry about that. But yeah, we're very thrilled to be able to add this extra touch of element tonight, so I'd like to hand it off to the Greenbelt Orchestra.
Thanks. Hi everyone, good to see you. Hello, a lot of us here, that's great. So my name is Aaron Copland. I am the conductor of the Greenbelt Orchestra, newly formed Greenbelt Orchestra, which is these folks. So how about a round of applause for the orchestra? This is not the full orchestra. It's just as many orchestra members as we can fit in this tiny space. So yeah, what we're going to do is demonstrate some of the musical themes from the city. So yeah, it's actually interesting to know about the short, longer version because I have the score here, and there's a lot of notes in it, and even in the suite that we're playing on our concert on June 2nd, we don't play all the notes. There's a lot of them, there's a lot of cuts, and it's very messy, and it's clear that at some point there are a lot of revisions, and let's get rid of this measure and move it over. It's a little sloppy. I think the musicians would agree that the parts are pretty sloppy. So, when Ann, who was the founder and president of the Greenbelt Orchestra, when Ann told me about this, I was like, oh, Copland wrote some music about Greenbelt? That seems unlikely. So I looked into it, and I watched the film, and I have to say, when I got to the sort of Greenbelt theme, I was struck, because I live in Greenbelt. And I really feel that this music in some way embodies the sort of spirit of our town. I don't know how many people here are Greenbelters. I assume most of us. Yeah. But something about the music, it's just like it feels like Greenbelt to me, and I hope it does to you. So we're going to demonstrate some of the various themes throughout this film. You won't actually hear all of them very clearly in the movie, but what I have here is the suite from the film. So there's eight different sections, and we're going to show some of them to you one by one. So to start off, this is a theme that Copland called New England Countryside. It's the first little movement, and it's a flute melody. And one thing you'll notice is that this flute melody is quite connected to the flute melody in the Greenbelt tune. I think sort of that makes sense because it's all about merging the countryside with the city. Anyway, but this is the countryside. So the New England countryside, yeah, there you go. Next up, things take a turn, and we're suddenly far away from the New England countryside, and we're inside a steel mill. So hear the difference in the music, dissonance, some different time signatures. You'll get it right away. Steel mill. As you'll see in the film, they sort of spent quite a lot of time in the film talking about the challenges with cities at the time. Overcrowding, poverty, disease. You'll see some shots of really dejected looking kids kind of being like, I don't want to live in the city. Anyway, so those are the less desirable parts of the sort of urban life, and this is how Copland portrays that idea. That really is kind of classic Copland, if people are fans of Copland's music. Alrighty, and next up is a movement or a theme called Fire Engines at Lunch Hour. Which is kind of, Ann and I were talking, it's not really clear to me specifically where this is in the movie, but it's sort of the idea that everything becomes hyper-mechanized. And people are sort of bustling around, and they're drinking coffee, and then they're eating, and then they're working, and they're drinking coffee, and they're eating, and they're working, which is something that's certainly relatable for a lot of us. So this is how Copland portrayed the sort of like hyper-mechanized, bustling life. One that is certainly relatable for all of us. This music has to do with the feeling of being in traffic. I was in traffic today on the Beltway, and this music has a sort of murmuring, like I'm angry, I'm sort of full of silent rage while I'm stuck in a line of cars. And you'll see that in the film. It's called Tact Jam, and that sort of means traffic. That definitely resonates with people. A lot of people who are in traffic today. All right, the next theme we have is, this one is also about traffic, surprisingly. This one is called Sunday Traffic. And this has something to do with people heading out of the city, into the countryside on the weekend. So even then, there's traffic. This is a great theme that we've had a lot of fun playing and exploring. Really peppy theme, and really kind of a goofy theme. So hope you enjoy it. is our theme. This is called The New City. This is the music that depicts Greenbelt, composed by Copland. I don't know when the last time, is this the first time that this music is performed live in Greenbelt? Anyone know? Has it been performed before? There's historians here.
I think this is a first.
I think it might be the first time, so yeah, please enjoy. We're very excited to perform this music for you. We take it seriously as the Greenbelt Orchestra, so yeah, please enjoy. This little demonstration of the theme. All right, well, thank you very much.